turn with me to John chapter 16, verse 16. We're continuing to move our way through the Gospel of John, the final days of Jesus, and just kind of looking at that week leading up to Christ's death, and more importantly, His resurrection. So today, we're going to be looking at the idea of moving out of a mentality, out of an idea, or the framework of the pity party we throw ourselves. The fact that we often times can look at the external circumstances and the things going on in our lives, and if we're not careful, if we don't move past that, we can dwell there, and it can rob us of our joy, our happiness, and the things that God has for us. And so just kind of a recap of where we've been. We started this off and really got into it looking at Peter's denial of Christ. That he said, no matter what you say, no matter what happens, if somebody comes and arrests you, I will die for you. And Jesus says, you're missing it. You're going to deny me 3 times. You're missing the point that I started with, that this will happen, but there's more to come. And so we kind of started that idea of, we focus so much on the fact that we don't want to admit to ourselves of either our brokenness or the things that we don't say or we don't do, that we miss the things that God is trying to say in and through us. And as we continue to work through all of these processes, we kind of see this again. We see Jesus coming back to this idea and this model of saying, I'm going to be leaving you. I'm going to be gone for a little while, and I'm going to come back. So if you would, join with me in John 16:16 as we begin there. Jesus went on to say, in a little while you will see me no more, and then after a little while you will see me. At this, some of the disciples said to one another, what does he mean by saying, in a little while you will see me no more, and then after a little while you will see me? Because I am going to the Father. They kept asking, what does he mean by a little while? We do not understand what he is saying. Jesus saw that they wanted to ask him about this, so he said to them, are you asking one another what I meant when I said, in a little while you will see me no more, then after a little while you will see me? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and you will mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve and your grief will turn to joy. I want to focus on that grief turning to joy, that sorrow, that mourning while the world rejoices. So if you would go ahead and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together, to sing praises and lift your name up and prepare our hearts for the message and the word you have for us this evening. So Father, we pray that you would communicate through us, that your Holy Spirit would convict us and empower us of the things that you are speaking to us in that life and that joy that you so desperately desire for us to have. So Father, we pray that you would speak to us now. We ask this in your name. Amen. So I want to give us a few different examples of a few different areas. If you've been here for a little while or a long while, our lighting has kind of changed. The sanctuary framework has changed. We were trying something for the revival that's coming up. We were trying something a little bit different with Elephant in the Sanctuary, trying to have that focal point be the cross, and the misconceptions that we may have, or the things that we may want to try to avoid in the church, and the conversations that we don't want to have because they may be awkward. And so while we've been playing with those things, the thing that's been kind of on my mind and just trying to figure out has been our lights. We have an awesome team that does the Christmas lights outside, but the lighting in here is not great, or has not been great. We've tried many things. So over the last 2 years, we've kind of dealt with what we've had, and over the last 2 months, we've had a few people donate money specifically for getting the lights kind of upgraded and to a place where we can actually use them functionally. And this may not seem like a big deal because we've been able to see, I think there was one Sunday morning in the 3 and some odd months that I've been here where we didn't have lights and we made do with the windows. But outside of that, we've had that. So it's not that detrimental of a situation. But there is a slight element of joy, and if you've been here when we've been setting things up or messing with things, you can talk to Callie or Monica or any of the teens or anybody that's here. we've been having fun with the lights and what we're able to do now, and just the different elements that they have. And so there is this joyful aspect that you can kind of see, even in the small areas and in the small things of our lives, we can find and take joy. It may not be something that is completely stressing us out. It can be just those little things that may lay dormant for a while, and they just kind of compile out one after another to the point where it just kind of is this hopeless, can't see a way out until we actually admit and deal with them. And for the disciples, this is a little bit more of a serious matter, because the person who they've been following for 3 years is telling them, hey, I'm going away. You see me now, and I'm here with you, and I've warned you, I've told you, and prepared you for this for many, many weeks, days, months, years, that this is what will happen. And I'm warning you again, but take heart, because I will be back. And you see the commotion about the little while. What does he mean by he's leaving? What does he mean by we're not going to see him? What does he mean he's going to the Father? And so they're focusing again on those wrong things. And so I want to take a look at those wrong things, those areas of our lives where we may take focus. And I'm going to kind of span the gamut with really, really bad to, like I said, the lights just being kind of an annoyance, a nuisance, and the littlest thing being able to turn those into joy. I had examples kind of lined up, but we received a phone call or a text message yesterday, and in a town about 10 miles away from where I grew up, one of our friends texted us saying, hey, can you pray for a few families? There was a house fire and 5 of their children passed away. And so we have that, and you can see just kind of the traumatic experiences of what's going to be going on. The community is small enough where you may not know everybody intimately, but you still know everybody there. South Dakota is not heavily populated as a state, and so the towns are even less so. And so the news of that quickly spread via Facebook and everything else. I'm pretty sure they sent us an article this morning, or a picture of one, and it made the newspaper quite frequently. And so you can just kind of see it, and as you hear that, the heartbreak and just that kind of saddened state. Knowing that there are 5 children and parents who have lost a significant part. Not only that, but as we were leading service last night, we got a text message from another gentleman saying, hey, a friend of mine back from the East Coast just found out that they lost their 13-year-old daughter unexpectedly. They don't know why. Can you pray for them? And so it's interesting that when we have these moments of crisis, when these really earth-shaking problems come to us, we know where we're going. Pastor Vince and I were talking last night that it's interesting when you see national tragedies that the U.S. or the government or political systems try to minimalize religious institutions and churches and what they do until they need prayer. Until something happens and then it's all of a sudden, hey, we're going to call on the churches to come together and pray. I remember 9/11 very vividly. And the weeks that followed, and just the increase in our church's size. The increase in seeing people come and ask for prayer, and this almost complete culture shift of coming back to church. And while it didn't last that long, we see that there is this understanding of when we have these sad places, these very deep, grievous times in our lives, we know where to turn. We know what is going on and what the causes of it. We've seen in my ministry, I gladly accept phone calls whenever they come in for emergency situations and things like that. However, I do not miss being a youth pastor and getting a phone call at 1:30 in the morning saying, my girlfriend broke up with me and I don't know what to do. They happen, so you just wait for it. But I remember getting those phone calls, and there were a few of them. And the opportunity that you have to go to McDonald's for the 4th or 5th time that day, because they're open 24 hours, working through that process with them. Of understanding that this isn't the end of the world. It may seem like your world is crashing around, but this isn't the end. And so you can see how we have these situations in our life, these places where it seems like the world has won. Where when things start to go really well, and if you were here last week, I made the comment that if you lead somebody to Christ, if you're telling someone about Jesus, that you have to be able to have those warning markers. That you can't say, once you accept Christ, everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows, that everything infinitely gets better, because usually when you start doing what God has called us to, the world, the enemy in the world, Satan uses that and attacks us harder to try to keep us in a place where we don't experience that joy. Where we move from a place where we're understanding what God's wanting us to do, and we get some momentum, and Satan says, yeah, this momentum isn't good, I don't like what's going on here, we need to find a way to detour and sabotage this. And so he places things in the world, whether it's persecution or just these moments of sadness, to try to knock us off of our game and try to keep us down. I say it's amazing that the first place that many people go is to the church. And I asked the question last night in our table groups, and something I want us to think about this morning is, if you were to go through and look at those times when you had either a tragedy or a sorrow, or you just had this pain that has been deep within you, where did you go, or where was that place in time that it changed? How were you able to see your sorrow and your mourning, that grief that had been keeping you down, change from grief to joy? What were the external circumstances that took place and happened in your life to get you to move from one place to another? And most often, if I go back and kind of analyze it and look at things, it's because people in the church or family or friends come around one another and try to help lift each other up. That if we try to isolate and kind of remove ourselves from the problem, things tend to get worse because we're left with our own situations. I don't know if anybody's like this, but I am a night person. I dislike mornings very much. If my clock didn't start till 11, it'd probably be the best thing ever. 11 a.m. But when you get to spend time alone, your mind can just kind of run with many different things. I think one of the problems that many have with insomnia is they can't just shut things off and they just run through different things over things over things. There were times where I was just laying there just kind of staring at our ceiling fan and trying to, please don't worry about me, I am okay. But I would watch the ceiling fan and to try to help me sleep at night, I would try to follow one of the blades of my eyes, because if you do it right, you can actually kind of see the blades move, even though they're going fast enough. And when we isolate and we don't have those people around us, we start believing things that we're telling ourselves. We believe and allow things to be kind of twisted in a way that if we had others around us, they'd be able to keep us accountable. That if we had people speaking life and joy and happiness and what God has planned for us, we wouldn't necessarily always have those moments or those times where we kind of get sidetracked and just kind of run off with our imaginations. As I said, the interesting thing that I found in the events in this weekend is the amount of people that when something goes wrong, when there is some kind of deep tragedy, and a lot of times we kind of let the little things slide. Like I said, the lights is kind of the minimalistic part of this joy or sorrow is. Because as kind of painful and as in the back of my mind, the problems with that are, it's something simple to be able to fix it. It was realizing the things and the people around us that we had to be able to get us in the right position. So when it comes time for these bigger things, when we understand what it looks like to trust God and in our friends, our family, our church, with the things that are going on, they turn to those bigger things and they know immediately where to turn. I said the phone calls and the text messages that we have are for people that we don't spend a ton of time talking about church things about. that we don't necessarily see or seek out on a regular basis, but they know based on our lifestyle and where we live our lives at and the choices we make, they know where to go when those problems hit. So I want to continue on because it gets even better here. Go to 21. It says, a woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into this world. So with you now is your time of grief, but I will see you again. You will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. Go ahead and jump to verse 33 because we'll be there shortly. But this is another one of those moments where we need to realize where our focus needs to be. That if you have been with us from the very beginning of our Lent season and preparing our hearts for Easter, and that focal point being on removing things that are distracting us from God and replacing them with things to keep our focus there, to grow us, to take us deeper, we see here that our pain and our sorrow needs only be for a moment. That if you look at it, it talks about the pain of childbirth, and I can't speak to that. If you want to know about that, find somebody that's given birth to a child. But I know the joy that comes afterwards. I understand the joy of being able to hold your child and just kind of that relief and that moment that comes knowing that there is a new person into this world. That there is this new life and this celebration that takes place. And so even though we may go through these moments of pain, the joy that comes afterwards is far greater and lengthier than the pain that we'll endure. The crud and those times where we don't see a way out shed light to the joy of the greatness of what God can bring us through. But when we talk about testimonies and being able to share what God has done, that's what we need to focus on. It's like, yeah, God may have, or the world may have had this in me, but God led me out of this and He saved me from this place. Through the grace of God, that He was able to put men and women and people in my life to help me get out of this deeper, darker place than where I was at and allow me to be able to be brought into the light and this joy that no one can take away. Going all the way back to our Advent and our Christmas season, that's what we focused on, that when Christ came and was born, and the reason God sent His Son was to give us a joy that was not explainable, that could not be taken away, that went and transcended beyond anything that external circumstances may have for us. And so as we end and we look at verse 33, it says, I have told you these things, so that in me you may find peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And then there's that final part, but take heart, I have overcome the world. He's warning the disciples again. He's giving us kind of a moment or a time to say, okay, I know that I'm going to have problems. Christ said before that if the world has hated me and persecuted me, that it's going to persecute you as well, because it doesn't want us to gain that ground. It doesn't want us to follow Christ and win people for Him. So when we have that momentum and we have those things going for us, the world is going to hate that. It's going to find ways to sabotage it. The enemy that is in the world and using sorrow and pity and all of these different gifts that he uses to detour us will happen. Looking at the disciples and the fact that Jesus was going to die, and for them, they don't see a way out of it. When that happens, they think it's over completely, because if you flash forward and giving away kind of the Easter message, if you don't know it, Jesus lives and wins. But after He is risen from the dead, you see them still mourning. They go to the tomb to prepare the body of a dead person. They don't realize it and remember the fact He says, I'm coming back. They forget that. They've seen Him raise the dead. They've seen Him heal the sick and restore blind and crippled people to full health again. But they can't see that because they're stuck in their pity party. They're saddened, grievous state, saying, everything that we had, everything we've been following is now gone. Woe is me. he's reminding them, you don't need to stay here. You need to take heart. You need to remember the words that I've spoken to you. You need to remember the people in your lives that are there to help build you up and encourage you, because I have a joy instilled in you that transcends everything else, that goes above and beyond whatever the world may try to tell you and keep you down. It's interesting how often I think we try to look at the negative side of things. That if you scroll through or try to find out news, it's always seeming to have a negative twist to it. That we don't see and find joyous occasions very often. And so as we kind of come to a close this morning, we're doing a few things different. One, we've had the chairs in this circular pattern to have our focus on the cross, on each other, that we can see that we're not alone in this. But today we also going to do something a little bit different, and at the right-hand side of the rows we have connection cards or prayer cards. So if you can grab one of those. As the church, as the body of Christ, we're going to spend time, we're going to have a countdown timer this morning that we use for our Saturday night services. And I want you to answer the question for yourself and be able to share it with those around you. We have our sections kind of nicely in place. And so, Michelle, if you go ahead, or sorry, Kim. Looking at Michelle. Kim, you go ahead and throw it up there for me real quickly. What is a current pain or sorrow which the church can pray for you today? We're launching kind of this unique prayer team ministry. And what we're going to be doing as a church body and as this prayer team kind of mobilizes is it's not kind of an empty place for you to fill out an empty box that says, hey, I want you to pray for me. The goal of this team and the goal of this ministry is not going to be to leave you hanging. Like I said, if we isolate ourselves and are left on our own, our mind can kind of play tricks with us and lead us astray. But what this is going to do is we're going to be able to read through your prayers. We're going to have people praying for you throughout the week, and then they're going to follow up with you, which is why we have your name, email, phone, whatever, so we can actually follow up and see how God is answering, how God is moving, what if the prayer request needs to be changed or moved in a different direction. And it's going to be this time where we're actually going to pray and see God answering those prayers. But I want to spend about 5 minutes this morning that before we take communion, that we're going to be able to spend kind of in our groups if we have to turn around or face a funky way or just, I don't know, whatever's going to be easiest, but kind of come together. And in your groups, I want us to pray for each other and those things that may be keeping us down. The things that you're able to share publicly with people you may not know a great deal about or super well. Let's say it can be something small. If you're comfortable sharing something bigger that is weighing down, I want this to be a time where we're moving from a place of what's keeping us back, what's keeping us from moving into a deeper relationship with Christ. That as we look at those things that we're focusing on removing from our lives, this is one of those. Do we have a pain or a sorrow, something that is keeping us back, that we're focusing so much on it that we can't see the joy that Christ has intended on giving us? And so we're going to, like I said, we're going to spend about 5 minutes filling that out in kind of a silent type manner. And if you would, go ahead and in your groups either pray for each other or kind of just talk about the things that the church could be helping you. And as we take communion this morning, we have 2 offering plates. You can bring your tithes, your offering, as well as your prayer requests, and we will start getting those to the people who are on that prayer team, the pastoral staff, so we can be praying for you constantly throughout this week. So if you go ahead and for about the next 5 minutes or so, I think that would be a good time frame. share some things that we can be praying for you about, that we can help you with in prayer moving into this week. And so go ahead for about 5 minutes. We'll put a timer up there. Go ahead and spend some time in prayer. So if you're still praying, go ahead and continue, but I want to pray for our service and our time in sharing communion together. So Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that you've given us and this opportunity to come, to gather with one another, to encourage one another, to remove the weights and the burdens that are keeping us held back. And Lord, what a perfect example of removing those weights and remembering your death, your life, and your resurrection, and celebrating communion. So Father, we pray that you would bless